We're at a point where your car can literally tell you a joke, realize you're shivering and turn on the heat, and project navigation arrows 200 meters down the road directly into your line of sight.
Sounds like sci-fi, but it's here.
But to understand how AI enhances the drive, we really have to start with how we actually talk to the machine. How the automobile is evolving from just, a purely mechanical transport into an intelligent, AI-driven entity.
Specifically focusing on how AI assistants and tools like ChatGPT are completely redefining the driving experience.
Right, acting as this incredibly sophisticated bridge between you and the underlying digital architecture of the modern vehicle.
We are pulling from some incredibly granular technical blueprints directly from Audi.
Yeah, regarding their new electronic architecture, the premium platform electric, and the new e-tron family. Let's actually pause on that term, premium platform electric, or PPE. Before we get into all the crazy software, what does that actually mean in a physical sense?
Right, so the PPE is essentially the foundational skateboard of the vehicle.
Skateboard?
Yeah, like in the era of internal combustion engines, which we often call ICE vehicles, you had a chassis built around a massive metal engine block, a drive shaft, an exhaust system.
A lot of heavy, clunky parts.
Exactly. The premium platform electric is a modular architecture designed specifically for electric vehicles. It houses the battery flat on the floor, the electric motors on the axles, and crucially, it serves as the physical nervous system.
The nervous system.
Yeah, that all of this new high-speed computing power plugs into. It's the physical canvas for the digital brain.
And that digital brain is where things get truly wild.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we are moving way past the days of those frustrating robotic voice commands.
Yayfully.
We're at a point where your car can literally tell you a joke, realize you're shivering and turn on the heat, and project navigation arrows 200 meters down the road directly into your line of sight.
Sounds like sci-fi, but it's here.
But to understand how AI enhances the drive, we really have to start with how we actually talk to the machine. Because if the communication is broken, the technology doesn't matter.
Interface is everything. I mean, if the most advanced AI in the world requires a clunky, rigid set of inputs, it is essentially useless to a driver who needs to keep their eyes on the road.
I feel like we have to acknowledge the collective trauma of early car voice systems here.
Oh, it's awful.
It was like talking to a stubborn, highly literal toddler.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
You had to memorize a specific script. You would hit the steering wheel button, wait for the beep, and enunciate perfectly. Call, Mom.
And the car would respond with setting temperature to maximum heat.
Yes. It was infuriating. You had to use the exact right phrase in the exact right order just to change the radio station.
And that's because those older systems relied on rigid, rules-based programming. The computer essentially just had a lookup table.
Right.
If it heard a specific phonetic string, it triggered a specific mechanical action. There was zero context, zero nuance, and zero understanding of natural human speech patterns.
Which is so frustrating when you're used to just talking normally.
But what we're looking at now, specifically within Audi's new E3 1.2 architecture, is designed to eliminate that friction entirely.
The sheer scale of this new Audi Assistant is staggering.
It really is.
The technical breakdown notes that it controls over 800 distinct vehicle functions.
800.
And for each of those 800 functions, the system understands more than 100 possible commands.
So we are talking about tens of thousands of potential interaction points spanning infotainment, climate control, driver assistance, and just general car functions.
Tens of thousands.
But, the volume of commands isn't even the true breakthrough here.
Really? What is?
The breakthrough is large language models, or LLMs. This natural language processing is now supercharged by the integration of ChatGPT.
Right, through Microsoft's Azure OpenAI service.
Exactly. So the car isn't just listening for keywords anymore. It is parsing the semantic meaning of your sentence.
Okay, I'm hung up on the ChatGPT integration.
Yeah.
If I am asking the car to open a window, but a few minutes later I ask it for a quick summary of the history of the town I'm driving through,
Sure.
how does it not get confused? How does it know when to act like a piece of local machinery and when to act like a global search engine?
That comes down to a highly sophisticated, intelligent routing protocol. The Audi Assistant acts as the primary gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper, okay.
When you speak, the system automatically evaluates the query locally. If you ask it to open the window a crack or set the drive select to dynamic, the car's internal brain recognizes that as a vehicle-specific command and handles it instantly.
So it doesn't need the internet for that.
Right. No cloud connection needed.
Oh, that's good.
But if it cannot answer the query locally, say you ask, what is 20 euros in US dollars, or you want that history of the town,
Yeah.
the system recognizes the gap in its local knowledge and seamlessly hands that specific query off to ChatGPT in the cloud.
So I don't have to say, hey, car, ask ChatGPT. I don't have to switch modes.
You don't have to change your behavior at all. The driver enjoys a seamless experience because everything is integrated into a single interface.
That is wild.
And the routing happens in milliseconds behind the scenes.
That sounds incredibly smooth, but honestly, it immediately raises a massive red flag for me.
Privacy.
Yes. With an LLM like ChatGPT integrated directly into the dashboard, a system that requires the cloud, isn't there a huge privacy risk?
It's a very valid concern.
Do I really want OpenAI knowing everywhere I drive, how fast I'm going, and recording the conversations happening inside the cabin?
It is the single most critical question when we talk about connected AI, and it's something the engineers had to solve before this could ever go to market.
So what do they do?
The architecture outlines a very strict, multi-layered firewall regarding data security. First and foremost, ChatGPT has absolutely zero access to the vehicle's telemetry.
None at all.
None. It cannot see your speed, your GPS location, or your mechanical data.
Okay, so there is a hard boundary between the car's core operational data and the cloud.
A completely impenetrable boundary. Furthermore, when the local assistant routes a general knowledge question out to the cloud, the data isn't stored.
Wait, it's not?
No. All questions and answers routed to ChatGPT are deleted immediately after processing.
Oh, wow. Immediately.
Yes, Microsoft Azure's enterprise-level security protocols ensure that your prompts aren't being scraped or used to train future public models.
Okay, that is a relief.
The AI is a localized tool, not a corporate surveillance device.
That makes me feel a lot better about using it. And when you look at how the local secure part of the AI functions, the part that actually controls the car, it's incredibly intuitive.
It really is.
The blueprints highlight this perfect example. Instead of using that robotic syntax like set climate control zone 1 to 72 degrees, the driver can just casually say, my feet are cold.
Think about the cognitive leap the software has to make there.
Yeah.
The system has to understand the indirect command. It interprets the context. Cold implies a state of discomfort requiring an increase in temperature.
Right.
And feed dictates the spatial location, meaning it needs to direct the airflow specifically to the floor vents.
It's doing actual logic.
It translates human discomfort into a mechanical action without you ever having to give it an explicit instruction.
It's solving the underlying problem, not just executing a macro.
Exactly.
But that actually brings up a fascinating complication.
What's that?
It is deeply impressive that the AI understands what you were saying. But if the passenger says, my feet are cold, you don't want the driver's side floor vents blasting heat.
Right.
The AI needs to understand who is saying it and where they're sitting.
Which requires an entirely new layer of spatial awareness and proactive intelligence.
How does the car actually achieve that? Does it use cameras to see who is moving their lips?
It's primarily audio-based, actually, relying on some brilliant acoustic physics.
Acoustic physics.
Yeah, there's a specialized microphone module built directly into the roof of the vehicle.
Okay.
This isn't just a single omnidirectional mic like you'd find on an old speakerphone. It uses an array of microphones to detect the exact spatial origin of the voice.
How does an array do that?
Based on microsecond delays in when the sound waves hit each individual sensor.
Oh, that is clever.
The Information Electronics Control Unit calculates those delays to pinpoint precisely who is speaking, the driver or the front passenger.
So it literally maps the audio in 3D space.
Exactly. And this spatial awareness allows for what the architecture calls role-based permissions.
Role-based permission.
Yes. The system actively discriminates between occupants to determine if commands are relevant or permissible based on where the voice originated.
Give me an example.
If the passenger says, open the window, the car localizes that command and only rolls down the passenger side window.
Okay, I have a hypothetical that I think every parent or anyone with a mischievous friend is going to
I
ask.
think I know where you're going with this.
What if my passenger is a notorious backseat driver, or they are just playing a prank and they lean forward and tell the AI, hey Audi, put the car in dynamic drive mode?
Oh.
Or they try to alter the adaptive cruise control settings. Can a passenger hijack the performance of my car with their voice?
It's a very real concern, and it goes right to the heart of automotive safety.
I would hope so.
The system operates on a strict, unyielding logic gate tied directly to that spatial audio detection. The passenger is entirely locked out of driver-specific systems.
So there is a built-in hierarchy of control?
A definitive one. The front passenger can control functions relevant to their own localized comfort. Their seat heating, their specific air conditioning zone, their window.
Makes sense.
But core vehicle dynamics, systems like the drive select modes, suspension firmness, or any driver assistance features, are strictly geofenced to the driver's voice profile and physical location.
That feels absolutely vital for the psychology of safety.
It is.
If we are going to trust a digital entity with a machine that weighs thousands of pounds moving at highway speeds, the person behind the wheel has to maintain absolute, unquestioned authority.
Trust is the foundational currency of the software-defined vehicle. If a driver ever feels they are competing with the AI or competing with their passengers for control of the physics of the car, the entire experience shatters.
Yeah, nobody wants that anxiety.
This spatial hierarchy ensures the AI remains a subordinate co-pilot, not an overriding authority.
And it is a co-pilot that is constantly learning its primary user. We're seeing documentation here about how the digital assistant continuously monitors the driver's habits.
To offer proactive suggestions, yes, what they're calling smart routines.
Smart routines. So instead of just reacting to your voice, the AI begins to anticipate your needs based on historical data and environmental context.
It looks for recurring operating sequences.
What does that look like in practice? Let's say on a normal commute.
Well, let's say that every time the outside ambient temperature drops below 40 degrees, you manually turn on your heated steering wheel and set your seat warmer to level 2.
Pretty common in winter.
The car learns that specific thermal threshold. After a few repetitions, it will simply automate the sequence.
It just does it for you.
Yeah. Or, on a more complex level, if you consistently call a specific colleague on your commute home every Tuesday.
Okay.
The system correlates the time of day, the day of the week, and your GPS location heading away from the office, and it will proactively pop up a prompt suggesting that call.
It's removing the micro frictions of daily life. It's like having an executive assistant sitting in the passenger seat, anticipating your needs before you even articulate them.
It really is.
But here's the thing. All of this invisible processing, this natural language understanding, the spatial audio mapping, it needs a canvas to communicate back to us.
Visually, yes.
Voice is a great input, but the output requires a radically new visual environment. The car can't just talk back to you for every single detail. You need to see what the AI is thinking.
Which brings us to what Audi appropriately terms the digital stage.
The digital stage. I love that branding.
Because the traditional dashboard, the analog gauges we've known for decades, has been entirely replaced by a deeply integrated series of high-definition displays.
Looking at the blueprints for the new A6 e-tron, the physical screens alone are a massive departure from traditional design.
Massive.
Above the interior trim, you have the MMI panoramic display. This is a massive, curved OLED unit that seamlessly blends an 11.9-inch virtual cockpit directly into a 14.5-inch touch display in the center.
And in certain configurations, like the Edition 1 models, this is complemented by an additional 10.9-inch front passenger display.
So the digital real estate effectively stretches from pillar to pillar.
That's exactly.
Okay, but I mean, having a massive 10.9-inch screen playing a movie right next to the driver sounds incredibly dangerous.
It does sound like a recipe for disaster.
Distracted driving is already a massive issue with smartphones. Putting a cinema screen in the passenger seat seems counterintuitive to safety.
And the engineers knew that, which is why they developed one of the most innovative safety features of the interior, the active privacy mode on the passenger display.
I was reading about this, and it genuinely sounds like something out of a spy novel.
It's brilliant.
How do you make a screen visible to one person but completely invisible to the person sitting right next to them?
It's a brilliant manipulation of light physics. The passenger screen isn't just a standard LCD.
Oh, no.
It has a spatialized layer that allows the light emitted by the display to be either diffused or highly directed, depending on the car's speed and seat occupancy.
Break that down for me. What is the difference between diffused and directed in this context?
When privacy mode is off, say, the car is parked, the light is diffused. It scatters widely, meaning the content is visible to everyone in the cabin, just like your TV at home.
Makes sense.
But when privacy mode is activated, which happens automatically when the car is in motion and a video application is running, the screen engages micro-louvers, or directional backlighting.
Micro-louvers.
Yeah, to funnel the light strictly toward the passenger's seating position.
So it focuses the beam of light like a laser rather than a floodlight.
Essentially, yes. To the passenger looking straight at it, the movie looks crisp and bright.
But to the driver...
To the driver, looking at it from an angle, the screen simply looks like a dark, opaque piece of digital decor. It is completely invisible from the driver's perspective.
That is wild.
It's incredible tech.
So the passenger can binge a streaming series, and the driver isn't tempted to look over because there's literally nothing for their eyes to catch. It completely eliminates the peripheral distraction.
It allows the passenger to be entertained, or to assist the driver with finding a parking space using navigation apps on their own screen, without ever compromising the driver's visual focus on the road.
Speaking of the driver's focus, we absolutely have to talk about the crown jewel of this digital stage, the augmented reality head-up display, or AR HUD.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
I know head-up displays have been around for a while, projecting a little green speedometer on the glass, but the specs on this new system are mind-blowing.
It represents a massive leap in optical technology. The system reflects a large, tilted image plane across the windshield, but it is fundamentally different from projecting static numbers.
It sounds like living inside a video game.
Basically.
The technical deep dive explains that it uses a new digital light processor containing around 1.3 million micromirrors. First of all, what's a micromirror and why do you need over 1 million of them?
A micromirror is exactly what it sounds like, a microscopic reflective surface. In a digital light processing unit, these tiny mirrors tilt back and forth thousands of times per second.
Thousands of times a second.
Yes. To direct light from an LED source through a series of lenses and onto the windshield.
Okay.
By precisely controlling which mirrors are reflecting light and which aren't, the system can draw incredibly sharp, high-resolution dynamic images in real time.
And the scale of it. The field of view is equivalent to an 88-inch diagonal screen from the driver's perspective.
It's huge.
Yeah.
But the true innovation here is the manipulation of focal distance.
What do you mean?
Through a combination of the raw processing power of the vehicle and the optics of those micromirrors, the AR HUD creates an optical illusion. The items depicted appear to be floating up to 13 meters away.
13 meters away from the car.
Yes, with some virtual elements, like navigation arrows, appearing to physically interact with the environment up to 200 meters down the road.
So when the AI tells you to turn right, the arrow doesn't just hover over your steering wheel.
No.
It actually appears to be painted onto the asphalt exactly where the physical turn is, 2 football fields ahead of you.
It is mapping the digital interface onto the physical geometry of the world. And if we look at the biology of driving, this technology is entirely about reducing cognitive and physical load.
Biology of driving. I didn't realize focusing your eyes had a physical load.
Oh, it is deeply taxing on the human body.
Really?
When you're driving on a highway, your eyes are focused on infinity, the horizon. The ciliary muscles in your eyes are relaxed.
Okay.
If you have to look down at a traditional dashboard screen or a smartphone to check your navigation, those tiny ciliary muscles have to rapidly contract to bend the lens of your eye, forcing it to focus on an object 2 feet away.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. You process the information, and then you look back up, and the muscles have to adjust all over again to focus on the road.
So you are basically doing microscopic weightlifting with your eyeballs hundreds of times an hour.
Exactly. And that rapid, repetitive shifting of focal depth causes significant eye fatigue, which leads to slower reaction times and mental exhaustion.
I totally feel that after a long drive.
Right. By projecting the augmented reality images so that they naturally appear 13 to 200 meters away, the focal depth of the human eye does not have to switch.
It stays relaxed.
Your eyes stay focused on infinity. You can read your speed, see a lane departure warning, or follow a navigation arrow without ever taking your eyes or your muscular focus off the road ahead.
That makes so much sense. It's not just a cool visual trick, it's a biological safety feature.
Absolutely.
And the data notes this is particularly vital in poor visibility conditions. If you are driving in heavy rain or dense fog and your natural vision is struggling to find the edge of the road, the AI can highlight the lane lines.
Or place a digital marker on the car ahead of you.
Eh.
It seamlessly blends the AI sensor data with your physical reality.
Wow.
It is quite literally illuminating the path forward.
Okay, but this brings us to a massive fundamental question.
Right.
We've talked about processing natural language with ChatGPT, running spatial audio calculations in real time, manipulating 1.3 million micromirrors to draw 3D graphics on the road, and analyzing weather and sensor data. It's a lot. How is all of this processing happening at once? You cannot just bolt a new iPad to a dashboard and expect a car to do all of this. The fundamental biology of the vehicle had to change.
And this is where we have to dive into the core of the paradigm shift. You cannot build the experiences we just described using traditional automotive engineering.
It wouldn't work.
It's physically impossible. This requires the architecture of the software-defined vehicle.
Let's define that. The IBM research we've been analyzing defines the SDV as a modern automobile, where the core functions, the features, and the user experiences are controlled, updated, and enhanced through software rather than fixed, unchangeable hardware systems.
Right.
And their forecast is staggering. They predict that by 2030, 90% of all vehicle-related innovations will be software-based.
90%. Let that sink in.
That is almost everything.
The physical chassis, the suspension, the engine, while obviously still necessary to move the car, are becoming secondary commodities to the digital brain.
That's a huge flip.
In fact, 75% of auto industry executives anticipate that this software-defined experience will be the primary driver of brand value by 2035.
So you won't buy a car for the engine. You'll buy it for the operating system.
Precisely.
But to truly appreciate this shift, we have to understand the nightmare it is replacing. We have to talk about the history of the ECU, the electronic control unit.
Oh, the ECU.
Yeah.
For decades, as cars got more complicated, the industry used a decentralized, distributed network of these ECUs.
Distributed, meaning they were everywhere.
Yeah. Every time they invented a new feature, they just slapped a new independent computer into the car to run it. You had an ECU for the anti-lock brakes, a separate one for the airbags, one for the radio, one for the climate control, one for the power windows.
The IBM data notes that some high-end cars ended up with more than 100 of these individual isolated units scattered throughout the vehicle.
Over 100.
I like to compare the old ECU system to a horribly mismanaged corporate office.
How so?
Imagine a company where 100 entry-level employees each have their own separate filing cabinets, they sit in separate rooms, and they refuse to use email or talk to each other.
It sounds terrible.
If you want to accomplish a task that requires coordination between the braking department and the steering department, it is a nightmare of red tape and miscommunication.
It was incredibly inefficient. And the physical toll was just as bad.
Physical toll.
To connect all 100 of those separate ECUs so they could exchange even basic binary signals, you needed miles and miles of heavy, complex copper wiring harnesses.
Miles of it.
It added massive weight to the car. It was incredibly difficult to manufacture.
Yeah.
And if one wire broke, tracking down the fault was nearly impossible.
So the architecture simply maxed out. You can't add a high-bandwidth AI that needs to see the brakes, the steering, the cameras, and the cloud all at the same time to a system where the computers communicate like they are passing notes in class.
Exactly. The solution to this bottleneck is the rise of high-performance computers, or HPCs, combined with a centralized zonal architecture. Instead of dozens of scattered, weak ECUs, automakers are consolidating the processing power into a few massive centralized brains.
Audi's e-tron 1.2 electronic architecture is the perfect case study for this transition. They have taken that scattered mess and replaced it with just 5 centralized HPCs.
Just 5.
To stick with the corporate analogy, it is like firing those 100 inefficient, isolated employees and installing a highly efficient, unified C-suite where everyone sits at the same table.
That's a great analogy. Let's break down those 5 domain computers because the way they split the functionality is very deliberate.
Walk me through it.
You have HCP1, which manages central vehicle dynamics, the suspension, the physical movement. HCP2 is the driver assist system computer processing the sensors and radar.
Okay, 2 down.
HCP3 is the infotainment computer handling the screens and the audio. HCP4 handles convenience functions like lighting and climate. And HCP5 is the central backbone computer that steers the network and handles the high-speed data transfer between the others.
But wait, if you consolidate 100 computers down to just 5, doesn't that create a massive data bottleneck?
You would think so.
If all these sensors are feeding into just a few processors, how does it not crash?
Because they aren't using the old, slow, copper wiring harnesses anymore. These HPCs are connected by a high-speed gigabit Ethernet backbone.
Gigabit Ethernet in a car.
The bandwidth is exponential. So instead of a slow relay, they share massive packets of data instantly.
Instantaneous.
The camera sees a curve in the road. It tells the driver assist computer via gigabit Ethernet, which instantly tells the dynamics computer to prep the suspension firmness.
Which simultaneously tells the infotainment computer to draw the curve on the AR HUD.
It all happens in synchronized milliseconds.
And because the architecture is centralized and software-driven, it unlocks something that changes car ownership forever. True over-the-air, or OTA, updates.
This goes right back to your opening point about mechanical permanence. With the SDV, the car is no longer static.
The sources indicate that these OTA updates take roughly 30 minutes.
Only 30 minutes.
While you are sleeping, your car can connect to the cloud, download a new software package and upgrade its AI, patch security vulnerabilities, or add entirely new features long after you drove it off the lot.
The IBM report specifically mentions that this enables feature on-demand subscriptions.
This is wild to think about. You could buy the car, drive it for a year, and then decide you want an advanced highway autopilot mode or a new dynamic handling profile.
Yep.
You don't take it to a mechanic, you just pull out your phone, pay a fee, and download the upgrade like an app.
It radically alters the business model for the entire automotive industry. Right now, digital and software-related revenue makes up roughly 15% of total auto industry revenue.
15%.
Okay, but IBM expects that number to skyrocket to 51% by 2035.
More than half of their money will come from the software, not the physical metal.
That is a total reinvention of the industry.
But this brings up another major pushback, perhaps the biggest one. We are talking about a centralized brain that is constantly connected to the cloud, downloading updates, passing data between the brakes and the steering, and talking to ChatGPT.
Right.
Doesn't this introduce a catastrophic cybersecurity risk? We are essentially driving giant smartphones now.
The question isn't just who is driving the car.
It is how the car is driving us.
Think about it. How is this constantly present AI companion subtly shaping our behavior? How is it altering our moods after a long day? How is it managing our daily routines in ways we never fully anticipated?
Your car is no longer a static house of steel and plastic. It is a living, learning ecosystem. Keep questioning the world around you, keep looking for the connections, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.